Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to tonight's stream of FNM here at Nerd Rage Gaming. I'm your host, Andrew Donnelly. With me, as always, my faithful co-host, Matthew Robert Dow. Matt, how you been?
I've been pretty good.
Awesome.
I just got off of work like an hour ago, so... Oh man, I'm good. Just got a nice cup of coffee here.
Okay. Awesome. You warm? It's
I'm
chilly.
pretty warm. I got a couple of layers on here. What are we doing here?
We are definitely streaming some
Magic. That's
yeah,
right.
some FNM.
Oh, we got 5 rounds tonight, not 4.
Oh, we do have
We'll
5
change
rounds
that
tonight?
for
Holy
you.
cow.
5 rounds. I think we got 19 or 20-ish people.
19
lot of people.
or 20-ish people.
Yeah. Maybe like 19 and a half.
19 and a half people for tonight's FNM.
Yeah.
All right.
19 and a half people. We had a cyborg playing.
So I guess I was asking if you were warm and ready to go solely because we were talking about Memphis and the fact that driving down there right now, not too bad, but I've heard some reports from people like Matthew Hoey saying that the roads are in fact pretty icy. So
yeah, so be safe if you're listening to this while driving down to Memphis, stop listening to it and pay attention to the road. But if you are listening to this somehow in another universe or dimension or something like that, be safe.
Definitely be safe if you're traveling.
So, I also thought you were kind of going to segue into the "Are you warm?" because we have 2 red aggressive decks.
Well, that's a good segue. I'd be okay with that.
So I thought that's what you were going for, but yeah, here we are. We have Josh Brohman on mono red aggro versus Charles Martin Jr. on the flavor of the month here in red white aggro. So let's get it underway.
Yeah, that red white aggro is really popular now.
Yeah,
huh?
it's pretty popular. I'd say it's probably the most popular deck. At least it was the past couple of weekends. And we'll see if that holds true for those people who make it to GP Memphis and then at SCGLA.
I think we're gonna need a quick adjustment on the dice there just to make sure those guys have the dice in frame.
Yeah. It looks like Charles is going to start off with the Temple of Triumph. And he is going to tank on the scry here and pass it back to Josh after keeping it on top. Andrew going to move the dice for us very nicely. Charles going to move his deck hopefully back into frame. No, he does not. Josh going to play a Tap Mountain, slam a Foundry Street Denizen. And pass it back to Charles. So I think the Josh deck is actually not super bad against this deck. The one card that I think Josh might have a problem with is going to be this one in Seeker of the Way, and then anything else that Charles might have, like the Soulfire Grandmaster, anything that can gain life. So that's going to trigger the Denizen, and Josh is going to Wild Slash. So it's a pretty good turn from Josh. He's going to get in for 2. But Charles 18, and now has 2 Foundry Street Denizens. So he has a Rabblemaster in Esther, and it's going to be pretty crazy. He's going to be able to attack for 7.
Lifelink, really, I mean, the only threat here that kind of puts Josh behind, right?
Yeah, I think so. And Charles of note did have another Rabblemaster in hand, but he is just going to choose to race Josh here, it looks like. So, going to make a Goblin and attacking in for 19. So I think, yeah, Josh is really looking for probably his own Rabblemaster here.
Has the land. Have one in hand? No?
It looks like he does have another, like, Wild Slash. So I think even that's a good tempo play if he can, like, Wild Slash this guy and then make some guys. Although he does have Hordling Outburst also. So Searing Blood that card is just insane. Gonna hit Charles down to 15 from the Searing Blood and then down 2 more from the Foundry Street Denizen.
So this is more of like the mono red Sly almost that we've seen, or
it doesn't go that low.
Okay.
So it's more like your just standard mono red deck.
Interesting.
It's not like a Crone Crusaders 1 million 1-drops deck. Josh is playing 22 lands, whereas those slide decks are like playing 19 or something.
Yeah, 18 or 19.
Ridiculous
really
amount.
low.
Yeah. So what I like about Josh's deck, especially in this matchup, at least in Game 1, cards like Chain to the Rocks, which get a large amount of value off of being able to, like, Chain to the Rocks of Pelucranos or something like that, don't really get all that much value when you're, like, Chaining to the Rocks a token or a Foundry Street Denizen, something that costs the same amount of mana as it does.
Sure.
But so on Charles's turn, he played 2 threats that are pretty good in Soulfire Grandmaster and Seeker of the Way. Josh is gonna make a Hordling Outburst, so his guys are gonna be 4/1s.
Good combo with the Foundry.
Yeah, for
Piece.
sure.
That's really powerful.
But the
what's Josh's high end here? Is he going as high as Stormbreath Dragon, or is he not even reaching that far? What's he top out at? Outpost Siege?
Yeah, Outpost Siege is his most expensive card.
Okay.
But yeah, as for creatures, his high end is solely Hordling Outburst and then Goblin Rabblemaster.
Boy, I really think in reality, I like these types of decks right now to really combat this red-white aggro threat. If you play a quicker game, then they can really defend.
Yeah. The problem is like Seeker of the Way and Soulfire Grandmaster are just like huge pains.
Yeah.
So we'll see if Charles can turn this Soulfire Grandmaster into an advantage. The problem is he only has 2 cards in his hand right now, one of them being Chained to the Rocks, which just isn't really that great. And it looks like he also has a Stormbreath Dragon that he can't cast. So the best he can do with this guy is just kind of hang back on defense, which is fine because he gets to eat one of Josh's guys and then take no damage since he gains 2 life. But it does allow Josh to continue to sort of like build his board and then hopefully find a removal spell for this guy.
Josh with a Fire Drinker Satyr in hand?
Yeah, it looks like he has a Rabblemaster too. So I imagine if he's going to play the Rabblemaster, he's going to main phase to it, so he doesn't have to throw his goblins into this Soulfire Grandmaster. He's going to mull it over though.
It's interesting with these. We saw back at the end of RTR block those really powerful end of RTR, beginning of Theros, those really powerful red devotion decks. Fanatic of Perforos, correct? Fanatic of Mogus. I'm sorry. Yeah, with the damage. I wonder if those decks are kind of poised to make a comeback here.
So Josh elects to play his Rabblemaster in main phase 1 here, and then attack in for 3, which I think is fine. He's going to follow that up with a Fire Drinker Satyr, which is actually a pretty decent threat. That's kind of a problem.
Wow.
Double Chain to the Rocks seems pretty good. Yeah, so Josh really needs a removal spell here. He's kind of flooding. 5 lands is a lot for your 22 land deck. An Outpost Siege actually I don't think would be too bad.
Sure.
Especially because Charles really isn't doing anything, but it looks like Josh is just going to pass back and then take 4 from the Stormbreath Dragon. So I imagine Josh drew another land there. Yeah, looks like he's drew another land.
Holy cow.
This is what I don't like about the like mono red aggressive decks.
Yeah.
Is if you flood, it just feels so awful.
Yeah, it puts you in a bad spot.
And like you have nothing to combat the flood in any way. So there's a Mardu Scout. I imagine not dashed. Yeah, so I think Josh is probably just going to die to this Stormbreath Dragon unless he can find to stoke the flames.
It's interesting that there's no really good red delve cards either. They didn't give red anything to
No.
in this situation, like an X spell besides Crater's Claws to really dump in, because Josh has a fairly full graveyard right now.
Yeah, well, like it's not red isn't in the Sultai colors, so that's why they don't have a delve spell. If they were, if it was like
Part of the Sultai.
yeah, it would have a
Yeah.
because the Sultai colors are the only ones that have delve spells. White also does not have a delve spell. But I think Josh is just probably dead here. Stormbreath Dragon is looking to... So, like, if Charles draws... No, Charles already has 7 lands, so yeah, Josh is just dead, unless he has Stoke the Flames. But he shows him his 7th land, and then a Mardu Scout. He's going to see if Charles sees the line of Monstrous My Stormbreath Dragon and attack you.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
Boy. So where Josh came out with a pretty aggressive start there, he just couldn't, like you said, draw himself out of the flood.
Yeah, and Charles had good answers to, like, he had, probably his good one of. I don't imagine he's playing more Soulfire Grandmasters than that, maybe 2. But being able to find one against the red deck is pretty good.
Yeah.
Having 2 Seekers of the Way is pretty good. Yeah, and then Josh just flooded horribly. So, we'll move on to the sideboard here.
What do we got?
Let's go with Charles first. He has 3 Glare of Heresies, 2 Wild Slash, 2 Abzan Advantage, 1 Valorous Stance, 3 Arc Lightning, 2 Hushwing Gryph, and 2 Sarkin the Dragon Speakers. Cards that I think he's going to bring in are the Arc Lightnings and the Wild Slashes. Arc Lightning is particularly good against Josh's deck because he has about 1 million guys with 1 toughness.
Yep.
So yeah, it's like threatens to 3-for-1 him a lot of time. I think like the only cards in his deck that don't have 1 toughness are Goblin Rabblemaster.
Sure.
But it makes a 1 toughness thing. So, and then Wild Slash is just like a nice, cheap, efficient threat, so you don't lose tempo. Killing one of Josh's 1-drops.
There's a card in his sideboard that you mentioned that I've seen being played often in the shop now recently, and it's Abzan Advantage. Now I know it isn't directly related to the matchup that Charles is going in against Josh here, but why do you think that card's seen a resurgence all of a sudden?
So I think it's pretty good with Seeker of the Way.
Mm-hmm.
Just in the sense that you like get a destroy enchantment,
Mm-hmm.
and then you also get to like make it a little bigger, so you can pump him up.
Sure.
And get more like lifelink damage in. I think that's probably the reason that it's better than Erase. Just like the bolster one is actually relevant in these like aggressive decks, especially. So I think that's probably why it's being seen over the more efficient Erase.
I hope we get to see that used later on tonight, because that there's a lot of interesting aspects to that card that I'd kind of like to touch on. But
I don't think it's something that a lot of people will see coming either. But like Martin used had it in his main deck.
Mm-hmm.
He had it in his sideboard, but he had it in his Jeskai sideboard from GP Seville.
I mean, I've seen it played in Abzan aggro list, like the list we saw Joe Bernal play at the SCG regionals. I mean, that has started to be a sideboard card now for decks like that.
Yeah, and I think it's just the fact that if you have creatures, it's just kind of better than Erase.
Sure.
A lot of these decks aren't playing multiple enchantments at once. Like the only deck that you'd want Erase over Abzan Advantage would be like a Constellation type deck.
Mm-hmm.
So the targeted effect of Erase isn't all that huge, but being able to bolster is pretty relevant.
All right, so what do we got for Josh's sideboard?
All right, here we go. Josh, playing the 22 Mountain Special, has a Perforos God of the Forge, two Sarkin the Dragon speakers, 1 Temple of Epiphany, 4 Eidolon of the Great Revel, 1 Outpost Siege, 1 Wild Slash, 1 Searing Blood, 2 Peak Eruption, and 2 Scouring Sands. Peak Eruption is I think it's going to come in.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I'm Charles, I might board out some of my... I would actually probably board out all of my Chain to the Rocks.
I agree with that statement.
They're not very good,
Mm-hmm.
and if you keep them in and you get Peak Eruption, you pretty much just lose the game.
Yes, you do.
But I still imagine Josh is going to bring those in. A Searing Blood.
Eidolons, do they come in this matchup?
I think so.
I think so, too.
Especially, I think on the play, yes.
Yep.
On the draw, probably not.
Okay, interesting.
But on the play, I'd bring them in, just because, like, Josh is planning to go, like, 1-drop, 2-drop. On the play is better than on the draw, where he's, like, going 1-drop, 2-drop, but in this case it's 2-drop, which is going to, like, then ping everybody for damage, is coming down when Charles probably already has, like, one of his good 2-drops on the board, like a Seeker of the Way and stuff like that. So I don't know how good it is on the draw, but I imagine on the play it's pretty good.
I think that card's really relevant here. Just like I said, on the play, landing that card early can, to some degree, negates your opponent's ability to gain life now off of his Seeker of the Way, off of his Soulfire Grandmaster. It makes it very difficult to do that, as well as it makes it difficult to cast these prowess spells now, or any type of protection or removal spell he tries to cast.
Yeah.
If he's getting shocked by the Eidolon, I mean, that's damage. That's damage that adds up. So.
Right.
Love the Perforos, by the way.
Yeah, that's not coming in.
You're not bringing it in here?
No, I don't think I'm bringing in that or Outpost Siege. Probably just the Wild Slash, the Searing
Sure.
Blood, and the Peak Eruptions, and maybe some number of Eidolon of the Great Revels. And I would actually probably try to board out some of my, like, 1 toughness guys, just because I gotta think that these red-white decks are boarding an Arc Lightning, and that card is just an absolute beating.
It is. That's a tough card to play against. Scouring Sands, even if they don't want to play the old Arc Lightning.
So Josh is gonna mulligan here, which he crushed me in game day, mulliganing to 6 both times. So maybe he'll mulligan to 6 again and draw perfect, like he did against me.
Once again, you have the power of the red deck in that aspect is that they can get a fairly decent hand and still power through. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like even the all their low cost creatures, all the low cost spells, a mull to 6 really doesn't hurt them that much.
No, because like the red deck, honestly, if Josh draws a hand and it's like 4 spells and 2 mountains, and then proceeds to draw like 1 mountain, and then the rest spells for the rest of the game,
he's in a pretty good.
He's just not gonna lose.
Sure. Yeah, that's the way these decks work.
I mean, you never want a mulligan, but like the mono red deck is just it's just like this weird deck where if you just draw 3 mountains and then enough mountains to cast every spell in your deck and then never draw another land, I just can't imagine you losing.
I know I mentioned it in game 1, but those red devotion decks at the beginning of Theros, like drawing 2 mountains and a Nykthos, I was generally fairly happy with my board state because I mean, you're just slamming threats that your opponent has to answer, and then if they don't clear the board, you're like, well, I've got this 4/2 in my hand for 4 that's threatening to 8 you or 9 you or a ludicrous amount.
Yeah.
I'm surprised those decks have not seen a resurgence, though we have seen a resurgence of mono green devotion recently.
Yeah, that deck stinks.
Yeah,
the red green deck I think is all right. The mono green one stinks.
You don't like that one?
No.
The red green one's
Not
pretty
a fan.
popular right now.
Like the red green one is fine because it does something. The mono green one is just like I'm gonna ramp into Ugin. Do you have an answer for Ugin? If you do, I'm not gonna beat you.
Sure. Well, looks
Josh's
like
gonna go to 5.
wow. So he's really either not finding anything good in these openers, or really wants something straight out of the gate against Charles here.
Yeah, and like I don't know. This is pretty bad for him. Provided if like Charles has Arc Lightning, Josh is probably just gonna die.
In a bad sitch. Yep.
Yeah.
So you like the green-red devotion deck, but I have to say, when I was looking at that green-red devotion list that Craig Wesco was touching on in his last article, it was only splashing red for Creator's Claws.
Yeah, well, if you watched any of like the SCG, I think I watched a match where Robert Burney, who like won the event, just killed his opponent from like 20 with a Creator's Claws with like a couple of Voyaging Satyrs in play.
And a Nykthos.
And a Nykthos.
Sure.
So like, yeah, it's just a giant. It's like Channel Fireball.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, that's true.
You know?
But I mean,
Voyaging Satyr costs 2 to channel.
One could argue that the Tamir Ascendancy deck is more of a Channel Fireball to some degree, just because you can so easily make a large amount of mana. But I guess
Well, you can make. I think it's probably in the same vein where like both decks are predicated on making a large amount of mana.
Sure.
I feel like the Tamir Ascendancy deck it just needs like a lot of pieces to come together.
I agree.
To use its lot of mana, where like I need 1 card, it's Creator's Claws, and then I throw it at your face and you die.
Yeah.
I think that's a little bit better.
So just keeping here.
He's got a mountain. He's got another mountain. No threats, which is problematic. And if I'm Charles, yeah, I don't play anything into like Lightning Strike or anything like that. And if I'm Josh, I don't. So Whirling Outburst is good. I probably wouldn't have like if I had a Rabble Master. I don't think I would have Rabble Mastered there.
But this is what you're worried about here, because now going into Charles turn 3, we've got Arc Lightning.
Oh, if he wants to Arc Lightning this, be my guest.
There it is.
Thank you. That's a 1-for-1, man. I don't care about that.
You're okay with that?
Yeah,
trade spell for spell.
Right, trade spell for spell, 1-for-1, especially on my mulligan. So Josh did bring in the Eidolons. He just drew 1, but yeah.
Okay. There's the Rabble
Yeah,
Master.
so now we can slam a Rabble Master. So that's pretty good sequencing for Josh. Hopefully for him, Charles doesn't have a removal spell, but the chances of that happening are slim to nil.
Can we talk about Charles' nice plane there that he dropped down, that Judge Plains?
No, we can't. We don't talk about foil lands.
I think that's nice.
Get that foil garbage out of here. So Charles is going to play a Temple of Triumph, Scry. Looks like he's looking at a land on top, which I imagine he's going to ship to the bottom since he has another one in hand. So in the case of you only want to draw as many lands as your pretty much your highest cost spell in these aggressive decks, that would be 5 for Charles. So he chooses to play a Whirling Outburst here. He did have a Brimaz in hand, which he probably did that so the Brimaz just doesn't get Stoke the Flames. Oh, he's going to get Scouring Sands, though.
Wow.
That is huge for Josh.
Good play.
Yeah, so Josh's not going to be able to attack with this Rabble Master. Get in for 6.
Wow, I like that Scouring Sands. We were talking about that in the sideboard.
Yeah, I don't know like how good it is in this matchup, because Charles isn't like the tokeny red-white deck, but it was pretty good there.
I mean, I like it that he's able to use that on his tokens, and now Josh can focus his other removal on threats that Charles plays, such as Bramaz or such as a Seeker the way here.
Yeah, if Josh has a Wild Slash here, he's in pretty good shape. He does not, but he does have a Stoke the Flames for this Brimaz, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, this is not good for Charles.
Holy cow! Double Eidolon.
I think he has a Stoke the Flames.
So the play here is we're going to stoke the Brahmaz, just pass the turn to Charles, and watch as he flounders against double Eidolon?
Yeah.
Or are you going for combat?
No, I'm gonna stoke this thing. Yeah.
Before combat, Josh is saying.
Right, yeah, he's gonna make a goblin and not have it just run into Seeker of the Way and die. Alright, so Josh with two Eidolons, which is, I mean, it seems good, but Charles has multiple Stormbreath Dragons in his hand.
But even then, so he plays a Stormbreath Dragon, has a blocker, you're still down to 11, and Josh has a fairly good amount of damage to push through here.
Yeah.
I mean, if he draws removal for that Seeker of the Way...
Oh, yeah, if he draws removal for the Seeker of the Way. So, Josh can move to combat. He's going to get stoked. He's going to trigger Prowess. Josh can just pass the turn.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder what he drew. Oh, man. A Peak Eruption? No. There's another Arc Lightning, though. Charles has two of those now. Just going to cast a Stormbreath Dragon and ship the turn back.
Yeah, you definitely can't attack in that board state that
Josh drew another
amass.
land. So, you definitely don't want to draw 5 mountains when you are on the mole to 5 with the red deck. Oh, there's another Stormbreath Dragon. He's going to attack in with the one he played last turn. That's actually pretty good for Josh. He drew a Searing Blood, so like he can... Yeah, I like this attack. I think Charles is probably going to block in a way which like this Stormbreath Dragon could get nuked. Yeah, okay. So Josh is probably going to deal him 4 and then kill his Stormbreath Dragon. Although I don't know if that's better than killing the Seeker of the Way, which threatens to gain life. So
Yeah, that's...
But Josh does only lose 2 life there, whereas if he does it pre-combat he would have lost 4. Charles is going to be at 4 versus Josh's 12. He's got an Outpost Siege in his hand.
Wow.
Another Stormbreath Dragon.
Holy cow.
So Josh really hoping to draw a 4-mana burn spell here, and Charles is just going to ship it back. Josh draws to Stoke the Flames. Charles is dead.
Is that a
Hordeling Outburst? Yeah. So I don't... Josh can cast this, but the problem is like, if Charles has any burn spell, he just dies if he does that. So, yeah, Josh... I don't think Josh can cast anything, because he's going to take 2 from his Eidolon. Yeah, no, he's just going to pass it back. Correctly playing around Charles having anything. I think Josh's out is just a 4-mana burn spell.
Jeez. So Stoke is the only thing that's drawing him out.
Yeah, but to get in to put Josh to 4, he has to attack.
So where's the? I have to ask, where's the Crater's Claws in this deck? Why are we not playing? Why are we not playing the 1X spell that we have an advantage for?
Because you don't get a trigger Ferocious.
I understand that, but we kill him if we have Crater's Claws now. He's dead.
Sure. When we flood out with our mono red deck, we kill him when we draw Crater's Claws.
How many games have we flooded out?
A lot.
Both. Both games, right?
Yeah, I mean, but like, this isn't the typical mono red draw. So Charles is going to play Outpost Siege here, and I imagine he's going to use the Khan's ability to exile a card. Yeah, so like, I think that Josh drew Stoke the Flames. Well, I imagine if he drew it, he'd just stoke him.
Wouldn't you just slam it down? Is it another Hordeling Outburst?
It could be like a Lightning Strike.
Ugh. That's brutal.
So like, what's weird for me there is like, Charles played the Outpost Siege but didn't attack with his Seeker of the Way, which triggered. I would have just
gotten in.
Yeah.
So is Josh trying to bait here? He says, "Hey, I'll trade you my Eidolon for the ability to cast spells."
Correct. Yeah, Josh is just chump attacking here, and looks like
Charles is going to
chump with it like an actual creature, which is just seems so awful. Like he could have just chumped with a dragon.
Is he trying to rely off the top deck from Outpost Siege? I mean, is that what he's looking for? Just to dig deeper and hope to get in?
Yeah,
with the Stormbreath Dragons and find his own Stoke?
He draws a Stoke, it's over. Brimaz is pretty good. So.
He's got another Outpost Siege, a Rabble Master in hand,
And a Lightning
and
Strike?
a Lightning Strike.
Or a Wild Slash, one of the burn
So
spells.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're one land away from Monstrous and a Storm Breath.
Yeah.
I mean, you could dump the Brahmas here. I have no problem casting the Brahmas into this.
I think you need to play multiple creatures and then hold them. I think Josh is going to win this game because I think you need to play multiple creatures due to the fact that Josh has gone a little wide here, and now he just needs to hit in for one. I'm pretty sure he has a Lightning Strike in his hand.
So Charles has the ability to cast the Brahmas and cast his Rabble Master, which will give him 4 blockers, correct?
Correct.
Excluding the token that Brahmas creates, because that has to block the same creature that Brahmas does.
Correct.
I'm surprised Charles took the bait there with the Seeker of the Way.
Yeah,
That did not seem correct.
No. Perhaps I think he was probably playing around Searing Blood again, but
Even then, Charles had the Lightning Strike in hand, didn't he?
he did not. I think
Oh,
he
he
drew
just drew it right
Yeah.
now? Oh, okay. I was about to say, if you can pump your Seeker and get the lifelink and...
Yeah, but like the problem is if you cast Lightning Strike, get the lifelink, Josh just Lightning Strikes you back and kills you.
Oh, that's true, yeah, in response to the... Oh, yeah, and you have the Eidolon burn, too,
Yeah.
so... Well, we'll see.
So Charles is going to play our Seeker of the Way.
He chose not to cast the Brahmas.
No, and this makes sense because if he has like a Lightning Strike in hand, he can now trigger
The lifelink?
the lifelink ability. But Josh draws another mountain.
Jeez. Is Tormenting Voices a card you play in this deck?
No, you're being so results oriented. We flooded out twice, and you're like, "Wow, we need to play more card selection."
I mean,
in
what...
this deck?
We flooded out twice. We mauled the 5 here, didn't we, or 6?
Yeah.
What did we maul to?
So Josh's just going to correctly pass back again. Chain to the Rocks. Ooh, that's a spicy one.
So he didn't take
Didn't
it out?
board him out.
Wow.
But he did draw a good one in Hordling Outburst. That one might seal the deal here. I imagine we attack in.
No.
Yeah, this is I think the correct line.
Just for the prowess triggers here?
Yeah, Josh is going to kill this guy though.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I actually think probably pretty good for him.
Well, yeah, because now we either have 2 options. We cast the Hordling Outburst, right? And
Yeah,
produce blockers, which is, I think, the correct line.
Oh, easily.
Or Charles here can play the Rabble Master, which seems really bad.
No, you have to cast the Outburst so you can get more blockers. Josh is once again drawing, I guess drawing then to still stoke the flames.
Oh, now
Charles going to get
now
aggressive.
here come the dragons.
Charles giving Josh an out here.
So there's the Hordling Outburst. But now we're dead to so much. Why did we do that?
He does have a lightning strike in his hand, but I kind of
he-
like this. Just like he
Nope.
gives Josh an out.
That's it.
Nope, that's
Wow.
going to be the game. He
Okay.
gives Josh an out in lightning strike there, but I just like that.
Mr. Results Oriented. You're going to call me Results Oriented.
You were being results oriented. You want to play like Tormenting Voice because we flooded out twice.
I want to play Tormenting Voice because it gives, I'm not saying you play it main deck. I'm saying it gives you the option that if you do flood out, that you can then go ahead and...
Yeah, sure. But like the problem is it's like negative tempo because you're taking your turn 2 off to cast like a 2-mana spell that doesn't advance the board in any way. Like that makes all of your other cards way worse. Like your Foundry Street Denizens and your 1-drops, which are like predicated on just like pressing an advantage. You now like take away that advantage when you take your turn 2 off to get little like draw 2 cards and have better selection.
Okay, so then do we play less land? I mean, what is your answer to flooding out in this deck?
There is no answer.
It's
you just
draw
hope
better?
not to flood out.
That's
like,
terrible. That I refuse to believe that. And maybe it's because I'm not known for playing mono red, and like I can dig through time myself, you know, and get out of. I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
I feel like that is just not where I want to be. And I don't know. I played the slide decks every now and then, and I hardly flooded out in those. But I will say it's much harder to seal the deal in a slide deck if your opponent has a slight edge. You know what I mean? Advantage-wise, like the Seeker of the Ways and the Soulfire Grandmasters are much harder to deal with in the slide decks than they are with Josh's deck.
Yeah. Although those deck dudes play like Hammerhand and that stuff to
They
like,
do.
get around giant things,
Yep.
one giant thing. Yeah, but Josh just flooded out there. And got crushed. That's what happens. You want
that
to
is
play
what
the
happens.
all-in mono red deck? Well, you draw too many lands, and you're just gonna die.
Yeah, and that's why I'm maybe looking for an X spell, or maybe. And granted, there's not a lot of good red X spells in this format.
There are not.
There's one,
There is. Well,
right?
yeah. There might be another one in like M15 or something. I think Heat Wave or something like Heat Ray.
Heat Ray is to creature.
Is it?
I believe
Ooh,
so.
we don't get a dome, people.
We do not get to dome people with Heat Ray.
I take that
we
back.
We can double check Heat Ray real fast, but I'm pretty sure we are not doming people with Heat Ray. So we've got a question in Twitch chat. Are we heading to the IQ on Sunday?
I am not. I don't want to humble brag, but I'm already like queued for the next 3 or 4 invitationals. So,
Are you?
Yeah.
So you're
What's the
ahead of the
point?
game. I will not be heading the IQ on Sunday because I will be working at the shop, so I'll be here at Nerd Rage.
Oh, man.
Not playing at the IQ, but
When is Nerd Rage gonna have an IQ?
that's a good question. When is our? Do we have an IQ coming up?
I don't think so.
No, we will in March, I believe, or March or April. We'll have IQs. I think the next big event is States is the big thing that's coming up.
Yeah, it was April 11th and 12th or something like that.
Yep. Yeah. So
Yeah.
there's your Heat Ray. Red X instant. Heat Ray deals X damage to target creature.
That does not target a player. So
That does not target
that
a
one is
player.
out. Good
Heat
card
Ray
in
is out.
good card in M15 limited though.
Yeah, very true. Yep. I somehow paused the timer there.
Oh, good one.
I don't know how
You're
I
on
did
top
that.
of your game tonight.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know. I'm not really not 100% focused here tonight. And we'll get back in the groove though. So, what else? We've got 4 more rounds.
4 more rounds, man.
4 more.
It's gonna be a long night. You should have got some coffee at Starbucks.
I should have. Did you get? Oh, that's right. You got coffee at Starbucks. I should have thought of that. What do we have going on? Anything?
Do we?
I think so.
Oh yeah.
I think we got streamers coming up for this week's lineup here. Well, this will be coming up next week, I guess, starting next week.
Yeah, this will
Yeah.
be next week.
So we have Joe Lissette on Monday doing some stream, followed up by Pro Tour contender Noah Cohen.
Pretender. I mean,
Pretender. And then big ol', and he's the carry right here. Big ol' carry Matt Hoey, who I think, I'm not even kidding, last time on his last Thursday streamed for 6 hours
Really?
while double queuing.
Nice.
So Hoey was just carrying the team there.
He's got a mean b-boy stance going there.
Oh, look
so
at him. He's flexing.
I can dig that. Yeah, you should definitely tune in. These guys are pretty entertaining. You can watch Joe Lissette shoe Yun people. He was doing
he's
that.
a super good player. I mean,
earlier.
Watching his Miracle streams is good. Watching his NRG streams is also very good. Even Noah's stream was I thought great.
Terrible.
He did a Pro Tour recap, and then he did what did he do? He played a Legacy Daily with Bug Delver, where he promptly crushed some people. So that was good. And then watching Mr. Hoey double table, it was pretty nuts. I didn't realize he was playing 2 games at once until I saw him swap back and he had different cards in hand. I'm like, whoa.
That's pretty impressive on
Hey,
a pretty bad client.
I can't do it. So I think besides that, we're gonna go find the pairings for next round, and then we'll